Guys, and welcome back to the classroom with Architect Mark. And tonight we are going to be continuing where we left off and are going to discuss a few more commands that will help us work better in the 3D environment within AutoCAD. So let's jump right on it. And I have the timer right here. Let's get to the classroom and start it right away. All right. So we've gone through two types of UCS controls. And then we also have gone through the camera controls and the views and the styles, which are basically this, we call this view cube here. And then the styles are all here under visual styles. What? Okay. So one other way of working with 3D in the CAD environment is by doing it like how you would, how Inventor does it, which is basically actually uh, moving our UCS into a specific plane and drawing on that. So to demonstrate how you could do that, let's move our cube, our 500 by 500 cube, away from the origin so we can see it better. Right? Let's translate it a little bit more farther out. So right now we're on positive X and Y somewhere. We don't know where. And we're gonna shift the UCS right now so that we will be drawing diagonally on this cube. So we'll use UCS 3, that means 3-point UCS, and we'll move the origin here, positive X here, then Y that away. So as you can see, when we draw, it will be exactly squarely in the middle of this cube. So what we want to do is to ease how we do that. And the command for that is plan, which basically plan moves the view of the user, that would be me in this instance, into the X and Y of the current UCS. So the command is plan, and then C, or current, is the default. So you just enter on that, and then now if we draw here, like for example, we can draw a circle and a bigger circle. So right now what we're doing is, if we're drawing on this plane, we're doing it in 2D, but we're actually drawing in the air with relation to our world coordinate system. So when we go back, as you can see here, the view cube is in an irregular position. If we go back to the home view, you can see that the circles are inside and outside of this cube. How do we see it better? Let's refocus our UCS into the origin or world, and then command the orbit command. We can actually use a faster command there, which is 3DO, which stands for 3D orbit. And you can see that the circles there that we drew are inside and outside. That cube, and it follows a normal this way. Normals are actually, while you won't encounter this uh, term in AutoCAD, normals are basically the actual face, the outside face of a surface. Because when you're working in 3D, faces always have a normal side, which is the one that you see, and a reverse side or a flip side, which is the one that's obscured from you. So this concept is important to understand this early on, because eventually when we move into other programs, normals, uh, they're very important when you're texturing already, especially when you're using photos. So yeah, we we talked about it a little bit here. All right. So now, apart from having access to plan, which allows us to basically draw on any plane, we also have access to viewports, which will allow us to create more views of the same uh, environment. And this particular feature is one that I miss, especially when working with SketchUp, because SketchUp you can only view from a single window and scenes of that window, but you can create more views like what we're about to do now. So let's exit 3D orbit and reorient ourselves to home. Now, what we want to do is to command viewports for viewports. And then you're gonna be given an option here. What you want the the interface to look like. So you can have two vertical views, two horizontal views, and so on and so forth. Depends on what you really need for to be looking at. Normally in CAD, I normally gravitate towards either of these two. So one big one and two small ones. But you can use this one or equal, or a really big one and three small ones. Um, Now, how is this important, you might ask? So let's go with something that you will see a little bit easier. All right, let's go with three, three. Let's go with this. Three left. Now, when you uh, accept this command and say OK, it will split our view like so. And right now it's using the same setting as the main window that we were working on earlier. So what happens is you can see there's a blue outline here that means that this area is active, and these areas are currently inactive. That's why when you move onto them, the cursor changes from our uh, crosshair into an arrow. So we can select either of the two. And when you select another one, it becomes active, and so on and so forth. All right. The main purpose of this is so that you can have multiple views of the same thing. Like for example, this view we want to be looking at the top view, and then this one we want it to be looking at the front view. So it looks the same right now, but it's not. As you can see, there is a red line here that denotes our x-axis. So that means our x-axis is here on the bottom, and our y is actually z in this position. So So when we do changes, like for example, we'll make a taller cube here. Let's make it around this size. So as you can see, we made it there, but it also appears on both. So it's constantly active, and you can see instantly where you actually put that drawing when you're working with 3D, because sometimes maybe you didn't realize it when you try to create an entity and you're very near something. It might take that, then use it uh, as a reference of the new or origin that you want to be working with, and then when you create your entity and you don't have these on, while it looks like it's on the plane, the same as this one here in plan, it's actually not. It's an elevated plane that used the midpoint as its reference. So that's why this is very important to understand. So let's extrude this to 750. So that's at least half the uh, one half height more, or 1.5 times higher than our original box. So you can see it here in the front view, and then here on our top view you don't see any difference, because, well, you won't really see anything different there because we're looking at the plan. So yeah, so you can, when you're moving it around, you can see that it snaps to one of the three cardinal or three coordinates that are available to us here. But when you're working with 3D in CAD, you're better off using snaps, so you can move these things properly where you want them to. For example, if we want to translate this box to be on top of this box, we can just move this point here to match this point here, and you can see that right now we have that new cube on top of our smaller cube, and a floating misaligned rectangle right there, which if we extrude to the size of half, which is 250, you can see now that they're all connected here, and we can identify it better with uh, a view that is different from our normal. And if you want to see it cleanly, you just turn off the grid everywhere. And there we have it. This is basically a 3-story object right here. And you can look around it, have to it perspective so it looks nicer. And there you go. That's a pretty easy structural or massing. This is a pretty easy massing model that we have right here. So yeah, that's the 12 minutes we have for tonight. I was thinking we were gonna move on to the normal day 2 that I discussed, but this is good. I mean, this ends with us knowing, orienting ourselves in the 3D space a little bit better, and we can move on to the actual creation of objects. All right. See you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye.